The sound of electric clippers buzzing through the hallway was the first sign that something was terribly wrong. 16-year-old Emma Carter sat frozen in the principal's office chair, tears streaming down her freckled cheeks as Principal Morrison held the buzzing device inches from her beautiful auburn hair. The same hair her late mother had lovingly braided every morning before school, the same hair that cascaded down her shoulders like autumn leaves catching sunlight. "Please don't shave my hair," Emma whispered, her voice trembling with fear and confusion. She clutched the arms of the chair so tightly her knuckles turned white. "I didn't do anything wrong. I promise I didn't violate any school rules." Principal Morrison's face remained stern and unmoved as he positioned the clippers near her hairline. "You have violated our dress code policy, Miss Carter. Your hair color is considered a distraction to the learning environment. Since you refuse to dye it back to a natural color, we have no choice but to remove it entirely." Emma's heart pounded in her chest. Her hair wasn't dyed at all, it was the natural red color she'd inherited from her Irish grandmother. The same vibrant shade that her father, John Carter, always said reminded him of her mother's spirit. How could her natural hair color possibly violate any rule? "But it's not dyed," Emma protested, her voice barely audible over the menacing hum of the clippers. "This is my natural hair color. My dad can tell you, we have family photos going back years." The principal's eyes narrowed with disdain. "Don't lie to me, young lady. No one has hair that red naturally. You've clearly been experimenting with inappropriate hair colors to gain attention, and now you must face the consequences of your actions." Emma's mind raced as she thought about her father, John Carter, who was currently overseas serving his third tour of duty in the military. He was a decorated sergeant who had sacrificed so much for his country, and now his only daughter was being humiliated and punished for something completely beyond her control. She wished desperately that he could be there to protect her, to stand up for her the way he always had. The clippers moved closer to her scalp, and Emma felt strands of her precious hair beginning to fall away. Each cut felt like a piece of her identity being stripped away, a connection to her mother being severed forever. The other students who had gathered in the hallway gasped and whispered among themselves, some pulling out their phones to record the shocking scene. "Stop," came a commanding voice from the doorway that made everyone freeze. "Step away from my daughter right now." John Carter stood in the entrance to the principal's office, still wearing his military fatigues, his face a mask of controlled fury. He had received an emergency call from Emma's best friend and had immediately caught the first available flight home, not even stopping to change out of his uniform. His presence filled the room with an authority that made even Principal Morrison hesitate. "Mr. Carter," the principal stammered, clearly not expecting the girl's father to appear so suddenly. "I didn't realize you were back in the country. We were simply enforcing our school's dress code policy." John's eyes swept over the scene, his daughter's tear-streaked face, the chunks of beautiful red hair scattered on the floor, the electric clippers still buzzing in the principal's hand. His jaw clenched as he processed the injustice that had been inflicted upon his child in his absence. "Dress code policy?" John's voice was dangerously quiet, the kind of calm that preceded a storm. "You're telling me that you decided to shave off my daughter's natural hair because you thought it violated some arbitrary rule?" Emma looked up at her father with relief and gratitude shining in her green eyes. Even though half of her hair had already been buzzed off, leaving her looking lopsided and humiliated, she felt a surge of hope knowing that her dad was there to fight for her. Principal Morrison attempted to maintain his authority despite the obvious shift in power dynamics. "Your daughter was given multiple warnings about her inappropriate hair color. When she refused to comply with our requests to return it to a natural shade, we had no choice but to take disciplinary action." "Natural shade?" John stepped forward, his military bearing evident in every movement. "This is her natural hair color. She gets it from her grandmother's side of the family. Emma has never dyed her hair a day in her life, and I have the photographs to prove it." The principal's face began to show the first signs of uncertainty. "That's impossible. Hair that red doesn't occur naturally." She must have been using temporary dyes or treatments to achieve that color. John pulled out his phone and began scrolling through years of family photos. Here she is as a baby with the same red hair. Here's her first day of kindergarten. Here's every school picture from elementary through middle school. Her hair has always been this exact same color because it's the color God gave her. The evidence was undeniable, and Principal Morrison's confidence began to crumble as he realized the magnitude of his mistake. The other school staff members who had gathered to witness the spectacle began to look uncomfortable, understanding that they had participated in something deeply wrong. Emma reached up to touch what remained of her hair, feeling the uneven patches where the clippers had done their damage. "Daddy, they wouldn't listen to me. I tried to tell them it was natural, but they said I was lying. They said I was just trying to get attention." John knelt down beside his daughter's chair, gently placing his hands on her shoulders. "I believe you, sweetheart. I've always believed you, and I'm so sorry this happened while I was away. This should never have happened, and I'm going to make sure it never happens again." Principal Morrison set down the clippers with shaking hands, beginning to comprehend the legal and professional ramifications of his actions. Perhaps there was a misunderstanding. Maybe we acted too hastily without gathering all the necessary information. A misunderstanding? John's voice rose slightly, his military training the only thing keeping him from completely losing his composure. "You humiliated and assaulted my daughter based on your own ignorance and prejudice. You violated her rights, her dignity, and her trust in the education system that's supposed to protect her." The room fell silent except for Emma's quiet sniffles as she continued to process what had been done to her. Her beautiful hair, which had taken years to grow and which held so many memories of her mother, was now lying in pieces on the cold linoleum floor. John stood up and faced the principal directly, his presence imposing and his voice steady but filled with righteous anger. "I've spent the last year fighting overseas to protect the freedoms and rights of American citizens. I never imagined I'd have to come home and fight to protect my own daughter from the very institutions that are supposed to nurture and educate her." Principal Morrison began to stammer excuses and apologies, but John held up a hand to silence him. "You're going to listen to me very carefully. First, you're going to publicly apologize to my daughter in front of the entire school. Second, you're going to revise your dress code policies to ensure this never happens to another student. Third, you're going to face whatever consequences the school board and the legal system deem appropriate for your actions." Emma looked up at her father with admiration and love, seeing him fight for her with the same courage and determination he showed on the battlefield. Even though her hair was ruined and her heart was broken, she felt protected and valued in a way that began to heal some of the damage that had been done. Over the following weeks, John worked tirelessly to seek justice for what had happened to Emma. He contacted lawyers, spoke with school board members, and rallied community support for his daughter. The story gained media attention, and people from across the country reached out to share their own experiences with discriminatory school policies. Principal Morrison was ultimately removed from his position, and the school district implemented comprehensive reforms to their dress code policies and disciplinary procedures. Emma received counseling support to help her process the trauma of the experience, and slowly began to rebuild her confidence as her hair started to grow back. Most importantly, the experience brought John and Emma closer together than ever before. She learned that even when he was thousands of miles away, her father would move heaven and earth to protect her. And John learned that being a parent sometimes meant fighting battles he never expected to face, but that his daughter's well-being was worth any sacrifice. Months later, as Emma's hair grew back into its natural, beautiful red waves, she stood before a school board meeting and shared her story with courage and grace. Her father sat in the front row, beaming with pride as his daughter turned her painful experience into a catalyst for positive change that would protect future students from similar injustices. The bond between father and daughter had been tested by distance and trauma, but ultimately emerged stronger than ever. Emma learned that she had inherited not just her grandmother's beautiful red hair, but also her father's strength and resilience. And John learned that sometimes the most important battles are fought not on distant battlefields, but in the hallways and classrooms where our children learn to navigate the world. Their story became a testament to the power of family, the importance of standing up for what's right, and the truth that love can overcome even the most challenging circumstances. Emma's hair grew back more beautiful than ever, but more importantly, she grew into a young woman who understood her own worth and knew that her father would always be there to fight for her, no matter what obstacles they faced together. What an incredible story of a father's unwavering love and a daughter's resilience in the face of injustice. This tale reminds us that family bonds can overcome any challenge and that standing up for what's right is always worth the fight. What did you think about John Carter's response to this situation? How would you have handled this if you were in his position? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective on this powerful story of family and justice. If this story touched your heart like it did mine, please hit that like button and share it with others who might need to hear this message of hope and resilience. Don't forget to subscribe to Heartfelt Tales for more inspiring stories that celebrate the strength of the human spirit and the power of love to overcome adversity. Ring that notification bell so you never miss our latest heartwarming content.